Dennis Young here, Primitive Substance Series 3. Very special guest today. Truly great in music, over 50 years, songwriting, record producing, great guitarist, and it's my pleasure. Phil Manzanera, thank you for doing this.
A pleasure. Whereabouts are you at the
I'm
moment?
in New Jersey.
You're in New Jersey? That's great.
I'm about an hour from New York, so I don't know. I'm sure you've toured here a number of times in New York and.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And well, I'm here in London in my studio.
I see that.
And I'm going to be coming to give a talk at Rough Trade in New York on the 5th of December.
Okay, I hope to be there for that.
Yeah, so my daughter lives in Greenpoint.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah.
You know, that area, Brooklyn's a big area now for music again. A lot of bands coming out of there, and I have friends who play there, so it's a happening place.
Right. Yeah.
But it's very tough to get to. It's like 3 hours sometimes from here with the traffic.
Yeah, forget it.
So anyway, let's go back to your early days in Cuba, how you got interested in, I'm sure with all the sounds there of music and
sure,
go from there.
Okay, well, yeah, I was born in London, but I was taken by my parents with them to Havana, Cuba in 1957.
Okay.
And, you know, my mother was Colombian and from Barranquilla, and my father's British. And, you know, most of the people who ended up in the Buena Vista Social Club were actually at their prime when I was there. And they were playing at nightclubs like the Tropicana Club and the Sanssouci Club. And because I was 6 or 7, my parents wanted to go out and they didn't have babysitters or anything like that. So I ended up asleep at the table in these places. And I must have absorbed all the grooves into my musical DNA because people like Ruben Gonzalez were playing piano there. Celia Cruz was singing. And so like a lot of British guitarists, they learned to play by buying a book called Bert Weedon's Play in a Day.
But
there was none of that for me. No, my mother started teaching me Cuban songs, like acoustic songs and boleros and Latin kind of stuff when I was 6, 7, 8. And so that's what I started on.
Okay.
And it's the kind of music that it's not like salsa or anything like that. It's the sort of music that the Buena Vista kind of a groove with acoustic instruments.
Right.
That really came from Santiago de Cuba. And that really informed what I listened to. And in fact, funny enough, when I first heard a track called For Your Love by the Yardbirds, I thought, wow, that chord sequence is pretty much the same as Chan Chan.
And
that Buena Vista, the most famous Buena Vista kind of almost a hit, really. So yeah, so I was brought up then after lived there during the Cuban Revolution and had to leave. Foreigners had to leave 3 months afterwards because it was too dangerous, and went to Hawaii, to Honolulu, went there for a little bit, and then eventually went back to Venezuela.
Correct.
Venezuela. And, you know, American college kids would come over and play at parties and play some Buddy Holly and then early Beach Boys and stuff like that. So I gradually started hearing rock and roll. And of course, Elvis's films, you could watch them. So I just got really into rock and roll. And I would listen on a shortwave radio to music coming out of England, where my brother and sister were. at a place called like a boarding school.
Right.
And so, you know, when I was 9, I said to my parents, I want to go to London. Send me to England.
Oh, go back. Go. Yes.
Yeah.
Cross the channel.
Yeah, exactly. Cross the pond. And
there you go.
So, you know, age 9, I arrived in London at the beginning of the 60s, literally September 1960. And
wow.
So,
what an era to be alive and hear music.
Yeah. So, you know, brainwashed, and I loved it, by the Beatles, the Stones, Kinks, you name it. Everybody who became part of the British invasion of America.
Oh, yeah.
I was like witnessing the birth of all these. So I just got like swept up in amazing British music. And then as the 60s progressed, incredible American music from the West Coast and from the East Coast.
Yeah, of course. Laurel Canyon area, and that all grew.
Absolutely. San Francisco, The Dead, you know, Spirit, Jefferson Airplane. And then on the other coast, Velvet Underground.
Oh, yeah.
And then all that. So all that sort of mixture went into my brain.
Yeah, that's something. Now you went to high school. This is really an amazing story with Charles Hayward, who I had the pleasure of speaking with, and Bill MacCormick. And then who else were you playing with in that high school band? Because Bill talked a little bit about that.
Well, they were just musicians who you know were at the school, and we wanted to form a band. I mean, the guy who has become famous, who wasn't in our band, is David Rhodes, who's played with Peter Gabriel for the last 5 years. But he was a little bit younger than us, but he was like I'd like to say in the support band.
Oh, okay.
Really. And then later Bill formed a band with him when they toured with Peter Gabriel.
Right. He talked about that.
Yeah. So it was sort of all connected, but you know, through Bill, I met Robert Wyatt, and he was like a hero in 1967 in England, in London.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And then the other person I met when I was 16, almost 17, was this professional musician who, when I told my South American mother that I wanted to be a professional musician, she didn't quite understand, because she understood Latin music, cumbia from Colombia, so didn't understand what pop rock was. And my brother said, look, I know this guy's just become a professional musician. Last week, he just joined a band professionally. Let's go and talk to him, ask him what you have to do to become a professional musician. And that was David Gilmour.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
He joined Floyd. And
that's amazing.
Amazing. So I knew 2 people when I was 16, almost 17, who were the coolest bands in London, Pink Floyd and Soft Machine.
Did you meet Syd Barrett too at that point? Did you see the original Pink Floyd play yet at that point?
I'd seen the original Pink Floyd, before David, and I loved them. You know,
they were really ahead of their time. Syd Barrett was just something.
He really was genius. But funny enough, after our lunch with David, we went back to his apartment, and he packed up his guitar to go off to Abbey Road, because that was the first album that he played on with Saucer Full of Secrets, and Syd was on that as well. But you could see from his window in his apartment, you could see into the apartment of Syd.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Was he at the end kind of there? I mean, he really was getting really psyched out. I mean, with mental issues, and I felt bad for him.
Yeah, I think that was the period when, you know, he was an acid casualty, basically.
Yeah, that's too bad. So before you get to the Quiet Son, did you call you guys Quiet Son at that point in high school, or was that after?
It was just in the period after. And there was a little period where I left in December 69. Between December 69 and when I joined Roxy in January 72, we had Quiet Sun, and we were trying to, get a record deal. And I've got all the letters saying that this band has no commercial potential at all. So, but we obviously thought we did, but obviously we didn't.
Oh.
Not to the business people.
Yeah.
But did Bill mention that we're going to bring out next year?
Yes.
A 50th anniversary with 4 brand new tracks with the original people.
Oh, that's something. And you're actually going to record new songs?
Yeah, new songs as well.
Oh, can't wait.
A bonus. And it's going to be here in this studio. And I've got these Dolby Atmos system.
That's
little speakers. I don't know if you can see them.
That's great.
And so it's going to be interesting because it's going to be, I hope, what Quiet Sun would be like if they'd stayed together till 2025, using the tech and recording in Dolby Atmos, to have this immersive surround sound. So watch this space. I think it's very exciting.
I can't wait. Now, when you plan on doing the recording? Early 2025 or sometime next year?
That's it.
I can't wait to hear that. I'm a big fan.
Great.
Of that music. Love that music.
Great.
And I'll bring it up in a little while. I just want to show you, I have the original Roxy records. With the centerfold and everything. From almost 45 years already. And I have the other one too. I just want to show these briefly. I don't want to, I'm sure you'll talk to death about this, but elegant stuff. This is great. I love the artwork. It's really great. Good stuff. So now you worked with John Cale and Nico a little bit too before you did the Diamond Head record?
That's right. I think it was before I did Diamond Head. You're right. A very influential journalist who became head of A&R at Island Records called Richard Williams.
Okay.
Rang me one day and said, can you come and help John Cale? So I found some musicians. In fact, I chose the bass player and the drummer because they play with Kevin Ayers.
Oh, I know him well too.
So we the three of us and John, we went into a little rehearsal studio in Kings Road and rehearsed some of his songs. And then we went briefly to Olympic studio and then eventually to Sound Techniques in just off the Kings Road. Started recording the album. Yeah. And then I John was a little bit absent. So I was there on my own. I rang up Eno and said, do you fancy coming down and working on this? Because John's not here all the time.
No.
So we ended up doing it and messing around on it. And because of that, then John started doing Nico's album and asked me to play on it.
That's a unique record. And at the end, that is very unique. And John is just a real unique player too. I mean,
he's a real character. When we first went to the States in December 72, we were on Warner's label, and John was actually working in the A&R department of Warner's in LA. Okay. And I know Brian had asked him if he would produce our second album, but he said, no, look, get Chris Thomas. He's just produced my album, 1990. And so that's why we got Chris Thomas, but John was a very special guy. And obviously we were all very much lovers of the Velvet Underground.
Oh yeah, they were.
And Nico.
Nico and that whole group was just so unique at that time in New York. It was just quite a period. So then you went into like you did Diamond Head. That was before the 801 records, right? The Diamond Head record. And I really love Frontera with Robert Wyatt singing that. That is really quite a surprise. I haven't heard it in a long time. And how did that come about?
Well, obviously, you know, as I said before, I'd met him at a very, you know, important age in my development, 16, 17, with Bill and stuff. So when I got the chance to do a solo record, he was the first person. I must try and see if Robert will work on this. And we had this track that we worked up. And so he came down, and I still love it. Yeah, I mean, obviously, this box set that's coming out on the 1st of November, that's the first track on the first of the CDs that
I could see that.
And you know, it sort of, I still love it, actually, everything about it, and because it ticks all the boxes. It's got Robert singing in Spanish,
right,
of a Latin feel. It's got the thing I do with echo guitar,
right,
which is a result of me, funny enough, being influenced by cumbia, because that's in 6/8 time. So my echo is a 6/8 time against a 4/4 beat. And so it sort of combines a whole load of stuff that I was trying to do. And, you know, I've got this box that's coming out with sort of 10 CDs and 11 of like rarities and things. And really, I did it to do a bit of housekeeping, really. Just but get it all in one place, put it all out, and then be able to look forward to new stuff. So it was like, that's what I did in 50 years.
Oh,
keep going.
I had a chance to review all your music before this, and because I haven't heard in a while, but wow, such a catalog of unique players too. And here's the record I really want to show too, is this right here.
Yeah.
This was this record I picked up back in 1980, and it's been one of my top records. You know, the energy is just so amazing on that, and the story behind it too.
The story is great, because it was, you know, the MacCormick brothers and Eno and me went to a little cottage near Wales, and hatched this idea of a band that would only last 6 weeks, and would put together people who were very pro technique and people who were anti technique, and choose a few of our common music and see what happened. Sort of fight it out, if you like.
There you go.
And that's what happened. And the result was that, and it has been one of the most successful things critically. And in 2026 is the 50th anniversary, and we're doing a special edition with some tracks that people haven't heard from the sound checks. And we're also going to do a Dolby Atmos version, so you feel like you're in.
Oh, that's even better yet.
So it'll be, hopefully, it'll be a wonderful new, for the people who like that and love that album, they'll hear it in a very interesting new way. So I'm really looking forward to that too.
Oh, there's such energy on that record. And Simon Phillips is just like he's a monster on that. Oh, the double bass drums. Incredible.
Just if you listen to the drums on that, you'd just freak out. I mean, he was 18 at the time. And, you know, we spotted his talent very early on. And he, you know, after that concert, he got asked by Jeff Beck to play with him, with Mick Jagger, you know, so many people. And he is, you know, the guy who gives the best master classes on drumming.
Oh, I know. I've seen some of it on YouTube. Now, you guys only did like 3 shows? Was that it? That's something.
We did 3 shows. We rehearsed for about a month.
Sounds it though.
It was meant to be about 5 shows, but 2 got cancelled.
Oh,
Luckily, we recorded one of them. Well,
okay. Yeah, that's the one. Now, I've heard some of the rehearsal parts on YouTube, but I'm sure it's going to sound, once you put the one out in 2026, it's going to be tremendous.
It's going to be great. Yeah.
So then you did Listen Now was part of the 801 story too?
I was doing an album after that. And so we used, actually, a lot of the people who played on it play on Listen Now, but it's a different thing, really. And so different kind of music, and it was more a conventional album. But and then we did some touring, but by then Eno had gone off to work with Bowie and stuff like that, so there was never a chance to do 801 band again properly.
Right.
But Eno never likes to look back anyway. He's always looking forward. So they're one-off experience, which is terrific.
Now, you have Mel Collins on there. Oh, I love Mel Collins. He's one of the most underrated horn players, I think, of all time in music. I mean, he never really, I guess he never went out to get the notoriety as much, but what's your take on Mel?
Well, funny enough, today I was at a friend's called Stephen Wilson, who does a lot of mixing in Dolby Atmos. And he played me a track from Rick Wright's solo album that he's mixed in Dolby Atmos. And he said, "Oh, that's Mel Collins playing sax." I couldn't believe it. I said, "Well, yeah, he played on my stuff." And, when we first started with Roxy, the Crimson that we, King Crimson, that we were on the same bill as in 1972, had Mel in it.
Right, I remember that.
He's been back in Crimson,
right?
The last Crimson, but so I've known him, and we had the same management, so I've known him for a long time as a great person. Then, there was only one person to choose for my solo albums, and I used him on a few.
Yeah, I could tell. You could tell his playing right away. It's so incredible. And I bet you he doesn't take more than a couple takes for him to put something down. He seems like that type.
Yeah, absolutely. No, he's got the chops.
Oh, he does. And then you met John Weton, right? On K-Scope. Was that the first time you worked with John Weton? No, before that?
Well, because we had the same management as that Crimson.
Oh.
Bill Bruford, John Weton, Fripp, and David Cross.
Oh, okay.
So that was in 1973, I think, 72, 73. So, we used to meet socially all the time.
Okay.
But John Weton I had always loved when he was in Family, a band called Family.
I remember. Okay.
And he, there's a great single with fantastic playing on it. And he was like the only person in England who could play a bass with that sort of finger style that Larry Graham, developed and evolved from Sly and the Family Stone. So he was an incredible musician, technically, vocally, and a lovely guy. He was one of my best friends,
Yeah, I have all those Crimson records, and it's just incredible, his bass playing and singing.
Starless and Bible Black.
Oh, yeah. That's
Starless, sorry. And I heard a live version that he did in Central Park, when it first came out, and it was really, they were so good.
Yeah, they were intense. I saw the 7-piece Crimson with Mel a couple of years ago, and that was intense.
Oh, that was fantastic, because all those guys are incredible, and Tony Levin and stuff.
Oh, and he's playing now. with
Yeah.
beat. I saw a couple clips, and the guy's like amazing. I mean,
totally amazing. I mean, he did play on we did an album, me and Andy, after Roxy, called Explorers, and we had Tony on bass and Steve Gadd on drums.
wow.
I mean, what a combo that was, with his stick bass and then and Steve.
Oh, well, I heard Steve on the new Gilmour record.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. He's so great. I mean, no ageless. You guys are just keep doing it. It's so great.
Well, we're so lucky to be able to physically still do it. God, that we're, it continues, because we're getting into a dodgy period now. We all get into age.
but and I like the record you did with John, the One World record. Great songs on there.
Yeah, it's a great, and he sings beautifully.
Have you seen her tonight? That song is just.
Yeah, I love that song.
It's beautiful, and that must have been something to play with John. Did you guys do any touring with that after that record?
No, we didn't, because for some reason the record company just wouldn't put any promotion into it, so it sort of disappeared quickly. But me and John, we used to do some charity gigs together with Kenny Jones, and parties for friends, parties, and things like, just for fun. But he was absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
Now, if you want to mention anything about Primitive Guitars at all, I mean, you played all the instruments on that. I mean, that is really a modern sounding record with, sounds like drum machines and all types of gadgets.
I did it at the same time as Avalon, actually, because I had a studio where we did Avalon, and I wanted to do something totally different to Avalon, so I did this weird instrumental album. And the best thing for me is that the first track is played on a tiple, which is a Colombian instrument, which one of my Colombian uncles had bought me in a little village down from Bogota called Girardot. And I had always wanted to use it, but I'd never had an opportunity. And so the very first track on that is called Criollo. And I've never heard anyone else ever do that kind of playing on a tiple, which using echoes and having a sort of quasi-jazzy type of beat on it. So it was using it how you're not meant to use it,
I got to listen to that again.
Yeah, it's the first track on a Primitive Guitars.
Okay. I'll have to make sure to listen to that. And then the other one I mentioned is Southern Cross, too. That's another really good record.
Well, Southern Cross, I mean, in the title, it was meant to be a cross between South American music and rock.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, talking about the Southern Cross up in the sky, but it sort of combined a whole bunch of ideas, and it was trying to mix stuff about my Cuban, my time in Cuba and Fidel and stuff like that, with some Latin rhythms. And I had a Colombian bass player, I had a Colombian lady, but I had also Tim Finn.
I know.
Split Ends and Crowded House, singing and writing songs with me, because he had been to Cuba during that period in the 80s and wanted to do something with a little Latin flavor. So it was a crossover, literally. It's a
really good record. I mean, I like that one too. A Million Reasons Why. Is that what a million? I think that's what it's called. Beautiful, beautiful song.
Yeah, which
beautiful
is
songs.
Really about underdeveloped countries in South America. This is like me reflecting back on that in the 80s. But yeah.
Well, Phil, what I always noticed about your guitar playing, it's very elegant, and you always knew where to really add the right parts and melody. That's what I always loved about your playing. It was always there. Oh, there's Phil in that part that's beautiful. So just want to mention that.
Oh, well, thank you. But that, I learned that from producers like Chris Thomas. Chris Thomas, who produced the For Your Pleasure, Roxy, and Stranded, and Siren, and he had been George Martin's assistant. He'd worked with the Beatles.
Okay.
He showed us how to in the recording process, how to do what they call part playing, where you're trying to play the right part with the right sound to assist the song. So we learned our craft through working with those people and it's a sort of British tradition of recording that comes via Abbey Road.
Right.
Production.
Okay. I didn't know that. Oh, well, you've had some great assistance with these engineers and producers that have, working around you're working for George Martin and the Beatles, and that's some good prep work for working with you guys. That's for sure. That is really something. So we could talk about a little bit of the Roxy Reunion briefly. I mean, how that occurred.
Well, the one which we did a couple of years ago in America,
right?
It was mainly in America. There were 10 dates in the States and 1 in Canada and 3 in the UK, and that was it. And that was our farewell tour. There's going to be there's no more Roxy touring. We finished at the O2 here, which was a big gig. It went really well. It was the Madison Square Gardens LA Forum. It was the first time ever that we could play properly with all the Roxy iconography behind us, and really put on the show. Cost a fortune, but we didn't really mind at the time, because we wanted to do something beautiful as a farewell.
Right.
I mean, there will be other Roxy stuff coming out, but nothing brand new. It's more like stuff that people haven't heard before, some old songs that haven't heard. Maybe, hopefully, some footage of that tour. And so we're still, a band in that sense, that we have to work on stuff, but no more live playing.
Okay. And then you had a box set that came out, right? In 2012? The Roxy music? Was there a box set?
Of the first album, yeah.
Okay.
And there'll be one of the second album, and there'll be one of Avalon as well.
Oh, now what's going to be on it? More like on tracks that didn't make it to the record, or on the second one?
Like that, and outtakes where on the second one, I've just heard today, actually, lots of there's intros that Eno did for the Bogus Man and different tracks that I don't remember even him doing. So lots of interesting stuff there that will be stuff that people never heard before, but relate to that album,
I got to show you this record.
That's a great album.
Oh, great record. I've had this for 45 years. Now, once I got that, actually, once I heard 801, that got me into Eno, your stuff, but what a great record.
That's a great record too. Yeah, I mean, that was, I guess that was his second solo album.
Right, I'm looking at it, yeah.
And I co-produced it with him, and we had a lot of fun experimenting with stuff at Basing Street Studios, and using his Oblique Strategies cards.
Oh yeah, it looks like for the different pictures here and colors, and had a great artistic flair for doing the unexpected.
That's right, and he still does.
Great. I know.
The documentary, is very, in the sense that it changes every time, and very innovative, and he still is very innovative.
Oh, he is. Before we move on to maybe your studio, how was it like working with David Gilmour on an island? Because I saw the documentary, like behind the scenes, and that must have been really incredible.
That was great fun. Yeah, obviously, because I'd met him when I was 16, 17. And
right.
We did touch. And I did, I had done that track, Momentary Lapse of Reason, with
Right.
him on One Slip on that album. In fact, on my box set, on my extras CD, I've got the demo I gave him of One Slip.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah, what I gave him, what I had recorded with drums and bass and guitars and keyboards. So I thought it'd be interesting for people to hear that. You know, it's obviously got no vocal on it or anything, but
oh, that's all right. You know, pure fans want to hear everything.
Yeah,
you know, out there, they love that.
Rarities. But yeah, working with David was just great. You know, he's such a lovely guy, he's so talented.
Oh yeah,
And
he is.
you know, a challenge. So he had, when I started working with him, and we ended up like working for 10 years, he hadn't done an album for like 15 years. Any solo stuff or anything. So it was great. And we had a lot of fun. And on that tour, Rick was still alive.
Oh, so, right.
It was a great, fun tour. And
that must have been great to tour with him on that record. That must have been really great.
Yeah, and we had in America, you know, on quite a few of the gigs, we had Crosby and Nash on stage as well.
Oh, did they play a lot of the shows or just guests?
Well, they guested, yeah, in probably about 4 of the shows in LA and
wow,
and in New York, and in fact, I'm going to see him tomorrow night at the album. Yeah.
Oh, so wow, that's great.
Very exciting, and yeah, and I love the new album, and particular, you know, the first track, Luck and Strange.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's what I always loved about David and about Rick, and it's that sort of languid, cool, bluesy kind of playing, and licks, and the voice is just amazing. You know,
it's still good. His voice and his guitar playing. You know, you can't say anything more about that. I mean, you're in the same league, but he's a different style. But
he's you know, he's fantastic. Yeah.
So when did you start the gallery studios up? I mean, has that been a while now that you've had your own studio?
Well, the first gallery I had in 1978.
Okay.
And that's where it became the Roxy Base, and we did some of the work on Flesh and Blood, and all the sort of lots of stuff on Avalon, and we'd use it as a base, then go to the power station in New York, come back. Then I sold that in 1999. I moved here to London and just had this gallery studio. So this is like 25 years old now.
Looks beautiful in the background. It must be.
We're just refurbishing it, making it more fit for purpose from 25 onwards.
Wow.
Almost finished now. But yeah, it's a lovely place to work. There's daylight everywhere. You could see, you know, if you're going to spend a lot of time in a studio, you need to be aware what's going on outside, not stuck in a darkened room all day.
Right. Now, do you record a lot of bands there? They come in by a rate hourly or session rate, or you're just mostly for yourself? The studio?
No, we have had all strange combinations. We had an all-girl instrumental band with the Latin feel. I've had my rock en español artists have been here. Chrissy Hines been here. Eno, Paul Weller.
Wow.
Robert Wyatt did 2 albums here. His last 2 albums were done here. So, you know, it's nice if it's people I know or I like their music. Then we come to some arrangement and stuff like that.
That's great, yeah, because you know they know you, they know the studio, and it's a relaxed. Seems like they can really get into the music. There's no like pressure to. Well, I got to get this done by such date, right? It's
exactly, yeah.
That's nice. That's what you want to be in for music for now, is the love of music. I mean, absolutely. the way things are these days, you know, the music business and everything else.
Yeah, I guess having been brought up during the sort of hippie period, if you like, in the 60s.
Yeah.
You know, I have a different attitude. It's all about the music.
Yeah. Well, when I was a kid, graduated high school, 76, we didn't have computers, CDs. You know, we were all going out to watch the shows or listening, sitting down to a vinyl record and enjoying it.
I love all that. I love tech as well, but I you know, you've got to combine it with
Right.
bits of accumulated knowledge of recording practices of the last, you know, 65 plus years, you know. Yeah. So
let's talk a little about your book here, Revolution to Roxy, that just came out in March. So you told me you're going to be doing a book tour.
Yeah, and in fact, funny enough, I actually on Thursday I'm going to Dallas,
Texas.
Yeah, Dallas, Texas.
Oh my gosh,
doing a talk in Dallas.
I've been there.
Yeah, it's going to be fun at the
I like it there.
Bookstore, Wilder, Texas.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah, it's going to be fun, and I play a bit during the talk as well. I play a couple of tracks. I play Diamond Head, and I play a track called Magdalena.
Okay.
Which is from the Sound of Blue album. So some places I play a bit more, but some places they want it to keep it a bit shorter. So I don't play too much music. I do a lot of talking and, you know, talk about some of their anecdotes. It's
right.
It's a memoir. It's not an autobiography, you know, so it doesn't cover every aspect of my life, but it covers a lot of the episodes and working with different musicians. And also I did a lot of investigating into my family, my Colombian side of my family. And that starts in 1492 in Spain. And then that's my mother's side. On my father's side, I discovered that my grandfather was a Neapolitan opera musician.
Oh man.
So I didn't know when I started, like, that when I put all these things down, I was trying to make sense of my life and so, you know, the book is collecting and collecting those kind of stories, and the box set is collecting and collating the music. So it's like, as I said, a bit of housekeeping, and then looking forward.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I haven't read the book yet because I wanted to speak to you first. I didn't want to get all the details, so I can talk.
Exactly. All the stories, forget it.
I can't wait.
We could spread it out over. Yeah,
that's great. Now, I hope to see you in New York. You're going to be there, what, December 5th?
December 5th. It's at Rough Trade, which is at the Rockefeller Plaza.
Oh, I know that well, Rough Trade. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I'm going to try to make it to that. And you're going to bring your Firebird guitar along with you, or you're going to?
Not bringing my Firebird guitar, because actually my Firebird guitar.
I want to see that. We all are anxious to see that.
Oh yeah, here it is. Okay.
Yeah, that's a legendary guitar.
It is a legendary
guitar. It is. Boy, that studio looks beautiful.
Let's see if I can get it up here.
Yeah, it's been on a number of fantastic records.
It's been on all my records, actually.
Oh, has it? Okay.
Yeah. Here it is.
Ah, there it is. Wow. Look at that.
It's a beauty.
Beautiful. That's a beauty.
Oh. Yeah. So
thank you for showing that.
That's me here with my guitar. It's my friend, you know, and it's been on lots of things. So it's good. I did take it on the last Roxy tour, but normally I wouldn't take it because I don't want it to be lost or broken.
No, you don't want to put that on a plane, on a baggage carry through, or no, that's not a good idea. That's for sure. So Phil, this has been really great. I want to thank you again. It's been really nice. I'll put all the links on the bottom, and I want to thank you again. It's been an honor to have you on. You've been over the years, just really just one of my favorite guitarists, and everybody out there, I'm sure, knows your music.
Thank you, Dennis. Very nice to talk to you.
You too, and I hope to see you in.
Hopefully in NYC. Okay, take care.
All right. Take care now. Thanks again.
Thanks.
Bye,
Bye.
Phil. Bye-bye.